Going live. Ooh. Sorry, I'm just activating the tweets things. All right. Well, hello and welcome to issue 595 of Geek in the City Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I am one of your other hosts, Spinarita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashtani.
How's it going, everyone?
It's going great. I got good news in the email, and I made a really cool craft project today, and I washed my hair.
Your craft project looked really cool.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm like super duper excited. If for anyone who's curious what it is, just go check out my Instagram. But
which is private.
Listeners follow me.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I know that. I'm saying that
people love me.
Yes, but that's not always. It's yours is not a public forum.
I think that's true. If you want to follow me, I will approve you. I'm not like, unless I absolutely do not know who you are, and then in which case I probably will think you're a weirdo.
Full disclosure, Denise runs many a friend request past me. Like, okay, do we know this person? Are they a creepo?
If I see that like either of you are a mutual follow and I don't know who they are, I will ask. I'll be like, is this someone I know or would know, or
Right.
I think it's a reality of social media that you have to be a lot more careful about who you approve and don't approve than either of the two men that you podcast with need to.
Yes.
I mean, well, look, I don't really get harassed, probably because I have resting bitch face, but I am very, I don't really like, or I give out a lot of my personal information, like things about my life, so I don't necessarily want total randos to be in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's not even like about being a woman in my particular case. I just, I'm kind of private if you don't know me. I don't like, or at least I try to be.
I'm hyper selective because I get harassment not the way like a woman would. I get harassment by people that used to hear me on the radio 18 years ago and still think they should have a rapport with me. Not to say that all radio fans are creepy, and if you're listening to this and we're friends, that means I don't think you're creepy. But they're definitely still out there.
Right.
So
it's weird. It's weird to like, I don't want to like act or sound like I think I'm some sort of celebrity, but we are, the three of us are on a public platform, and that opens you up to maybe more people than you really want to be opened up with.
Right. Yeah.
I just practice. I don't necessarily follow everyone that follows me back. And if you do something like, if I look at your profile and I realize who you are, I may just block you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you're a fuckhead. Block.
Yeah.
You're a fuckhead.
There are some listeners that follow me that I interact with because they're like, oh, you're conversational. Well, we can talk.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I know like in some of our social circles, there's been like some controversy about blocking people or like restricting people that you are already like in person or even just social media friends with. And that's, that's not against the rules. It's your right to privacy when you're dealing with a public platform.
I think people have forgotten what the purpose of social media is, and that it is your particular page is your platform where you get to say what you want to say. You can allow or disallow other people to respond to it. You can control the conversation.
Right.
That also means you have to live with any consequences that go along with that.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, that social media is what you want it to be, not what everyone else thinks it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
If in real life I have friend A and I tell friend A any and everything, and I have friend B and I only tell them certain things for whatever reason that might be, that's that's my right as an individual, and it shouldn't be different in social media. But I think people start to expect that because they follow you, they have the right to any information that you might put there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't.
I mean, no, they don't. But yeah, I mean, it's even gotten to where, like, when I write about a film or a show I like, I'm not going to write about something I don't like because I don't want to spend the energy for it. I'm not a paid reviewer anymore. There was a time when I got paid to write about anything. If it was bad, I'd write why I thought it was bad. But I'm not getting paid for that shit anymore. And, when I was younger, it was fun to put things on blast if I hated them. But, frankly, that's lazy and easy writing. So nowadays, I'd rather just highlight and promote stuff that I found was legitimately enjoyable or was important. And when and inevitably, I'll get like the third comment down, someone will go off on this rant. I just delete it. I'm like, I don't need to read your thesis on why you didn't think Mortal Kombat was a fun movie, which we'll get to in a minute or later. I'm like, I just don't care. That you know what you want to do on your page, and I'm not going to say shit. Whatever.
And that's I think too part of the issue is we shouldn't be doing the things the way we did them when we were in their 20s and in our 30s, and because we're different people, or we should be. If we haven't grown, then we're not us. We're not these three particular people.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to be friends with the me of 10 years ago because I was not that great of a person.
I have a hard time being friends with myself like within the past year. So yeah, I get you.
That's relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like this thing. I think we were just talking about him a little bit before I went on the show. Someone asked I don't know what happened, but someone had asked the director James Gunn why he always seems to love everything he posts about. He finally just said, I'm not going to post about stuff I don't like. He's like, and also I've been in the film industry for 20 plus years. I know how hard even the shittiest movie you ever saw, how hard it was to make. Like everyone involved, busted their ass to make the movie that it might be utter trash. He's like, but I'm not going to bash them. I know how hard it is to do anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so if I don't like it, you're just not going to hear me say anything. Kevin Smith said the same thing. He's like, if I don't like something, I'm just not going to talk about it.
There are other things to talk about.
Yeah, totally.
Well, especially for people like that who are in the industry, those words carry weight, and it'd be the equivalent of bashing your coworkers on a public forum.
Yeah, it's really
that they can access. It's unnecessary. If it's not for you, it's not for you. And even if it was a crappy movie or a show or whatever, it still took a lot of work. A lot of people put their heart and soul into that.
Yeah. So
except maybe for the people who make the knockoff movies, like Atlantic Rim.
Well, I mean, they do have their charm, and you know what? There is still a lot of work that goes into them. They're probably they're 18-hour days for granted, it's a week and a half shoot, but those are very intense. They're not good. No, they're not good at all. But you know what? They're keeping Graham Greene employed, so dude plays the same character in the last Asylum, the last 3 Asylum movies. Grumpy, soft-spoken colonel. They just change the uniform. Air Force, Navy, Army. They just change it depending on where the monster is appearing. Ooh, so what are we talking about today?
Good question.
Well, we're definitely talking about the finale to The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
For sure.
Yeah.
Spoiler heavy, so if you have not watched any of it, pause the podcast, go watch it, come back, listen to the rest of the podcast.
I feel like our show's far enough away from when this one comes out that I feel pretty good. Yeah, we give the warning, but I don't really ever feel bad about spoiling anything.
I think if we're going to do the same type of review with The Bad Batch, it'll be even better because we can review it a week late because
It's gonna be on Tuesday.
it debuts on Tuesday. Because next week is May the 4th, and it debuts on May the 4th.
Oh man, that's cool. Also, this is completely selfish, but I'm very annoyed that this will now be the second May the 4th that all the breweries in town are going to do wacky Star Wars themed beers that I can hang out at. It's completely selfish.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I mean, you could buy their regular beers.
I could, but there was something kind of great, and there was something kind of great about going to the Imperial Bottle Shop, and they had like 12 beers on tap that were all done by local breweries, and they played nothing but Star Wars on the TV all day long, and like 501st hung out, and like, you know, you're drinking you're drinking the Cloud City IPA with, you know, Boba Fett next to you while you're fucking watching the Christmas special. And Boba Fett leans over to me and says, "Oh, I hated this part." You know, I miss that. It's nerdy.
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
But yes, he's got a week on the Bad Batch.
So I think, Aaron, you wanted to talk to us about your thoughts on Mortal Kombat, as you just mentioned. I have a bit of Lego news. So
cool. And I will keep Mortal Kombat spoiler free. I know they both technically came out the same day, but I feel like more people who at least listen to this show were probably really hyper focused on Falcon and the Winter Soldier and saw that. And Mortal Kombat is one of those things like, I'm going to watch it next weekend with, you know, whatever.
I forgot it came out. I was going to watch it. But I didn't. The day that it was coming out slipped my mind, and so I was like, oh, that's out now at an opportune time.
I
think I watched it like Sunday morning. I didn't even watch it the day it came out. I was like, I'll get to it this weekend sometime when I have some downtime.
Yeah, we have already been watching another series of movies over the weekends. Sunday we watched Godzilla King of Monsters. The week before we watched Kong Skull Island, so that we can sit down and watch Godzilla versus Kong this weekend.
We did that a couple weeks ago.
Nice. What did you think of, we're getting to Mortal Kombat, what did you think of King of Monsters?
It was not as good as Kong Skull Island.
It took itself a little more seriously, I think.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Except for Bradley Whitford. Bradley Whitford, I believe, gave the performance that was needed for that movie, and everyone else was bringing their A game. He's like, dude, we're humans in a Godzilla movie. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. Have either of you seen Kong versus Godzilla yet?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
It's
fun. I mean,
my only critique is, and I guess it's not even a critique, a real critique. It's just me like being like really like meta-critical. Is I'm like, of course, and I don't think this is going to spoil anything because it becomes pretty clear early on. Of course, Godzilla or Kong is the one that the humans perceive as the hero, or like the one who's in the right, versus the reptile.
Right. Until they find out why Godzilla's freaking out, and then you're like, oh.
That's true, but even then, I think the bulk of the movie lies preference on Kong.
Yeah,
that's an interesting modern take on why you would do that, because humans clearly will identify with another primate versus a reptile.
Yeah, or even just a mammal versus a reptile. I would argue.
But like the original Godzilla versus Kong was not that. Like if you watch it in Japan, Godzilla won. If you watch it in the States, Kong won.
Right.
Because
Kong, and had different endings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because King Kong doesn't win in Japan. Kong is not their monster.
Right. That's a Western monster.
Yes, it is. Because he was created in the 30s.
Right. I think the first stop motion creation.
Mm-hmm.
Which, man, I rewatched that. That is still impressive for, especially, I mean, even not even to say even for the era, it's still impressive stop motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like regardless, it's really impressive.
I watched it since I was a kid.
try to hunt down like the unedited and uncut one. Because a lot got cut when it hit theaters, and they've restored it and stuff. Interestingly, it kind of humanizes Kong more, the shit that got cut. So yeah. And man, I tried to get the Peter Jackson one a couple attempts, and it just takes itself a little too seriously for me.
I think I'm going to skip that one entirely.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Dune. I might have already mentioned, but I rewatched Dune recently because I read the book. And then I watched all of the scenes that were edited out, to make it the David Lynch cut.
Right.
And I'm like, so basically you didn't want this movie to make sense or have like emotional impact.
Yeah. All right. So should I jump into Mortal Kombat? Because I feel like the text box is going a little crazy back and forth.
Oh, right. The text box.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot you need to the plot. Was it Outworld has won 9 out of 10 Mortal Kombats. If they win the 10th one, they get to invade the Earth realm and everything is fucked. So now instead of them just picking fighters, you're born with that dragon that of every Mortal Kombat game. It's born on you. It's a birthmark on you. If you have it, you are destined to be someone who may one day partake in Mortal Kombat. The one thing I will say right off the bat, the first half of the movie is better than the second half. Maybe part of it is because for as much as it's, basically just a fight movie, the first half has some pretty decent character development. Like you kind of know why everyone's there, at least the quote hero side. The villains, there's not a whole lot to them. They're, Shang Tsung and his crew are, they're just shitty, except for, and this was actually available for free the first 7 minutes. The connection between who becomes Sub-Zero and Scorpion is real tight. Like you find out why they don't like each other, and it goes back to a clan feud. Like that goes back like generations, because it opens in what looks to be like Edo period Japan, maybe a little bit further back. And it suggested that these two clans have hated each other way longer than that. So much so that they bounce back. It's not really explained, and I kind of did some meta thinking. Their feud goes so far back that they bounce between Chinese and Japanese. The impression being that they were both from China hundreds of years ago, both fled because of their own war to live in Japan. And when they face each other, their language swaps back and forth. They directly say like speaking Chinese, speaking Japanese. When the guy who plays Scorpion, when he's speaking to his family, he only speaks Japanese. But when the guy who plays Sub-Zero shows up, or who becomes Sub-Zero, they will bounce back and forth. It's and I know that kind of goes to the Mortal Kombat lore, and it requires someone to know more about the game franchise than the average watcher. If you're just watching it because you want to watch a fight movie, you're like, well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Those two cultures are not at all alike at all. But it's a good setup.
I always kind of pictured those two characters being somewhat akin to Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Yeah.
They're brothers, right? Even though they're enemies now.
Wolverine and Sabretooth? I don't remember.
That
depends on.
I feel like that's a conceit of the Wolverine Origins movie.
Is that in the movie?
Yes. It's all right. That movie is garbage.
It's garbage. So, the big chunk of this movie is all the setup for the actual tournament. And there's a moment when I hit pause to see how much time was left. And I was like, are we going to actually get to the tournament in this movie?
Oh, wow.
And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
The fight scenes are fantastic. Like the fights are fucking amazing. Very well choreographed, very well shot. The man who plays Sub-Zero is the actor Joe Taslim. And if you recognize him, he's from The Raid. He's the lead actor from The Raid. And there was actually a behind the scenes short on HBO Max you can watch, and they talk about filming his scenes. That actor is so fast, they had to ask him to slow down because the camera and the other performers could not physically keep up with his movement. They're like, you have to slow down. You're a blur in the camera at regular speed, and the actors just can't keep up with your cues. They just can't. You know, and he's like, okay, I'll slow down. So the fight scenes are, I'd say they're actually 90% practical. There's very little, except for the fight with Goro, Prince Goro.
Yeah, because he can't be.
He can't be. They're all pretty much practical. Like there's obviously some wire work when they use their powers, that CGI, but you get a sense that those actors are there trading blows and kicks and whatever. If you're a fan of the games, it's going to give you everything you want. It's going to give you the iconic lines. You're going to hear finish him. You're going to hear flawless victory. In fact, the scene that led to flawless victory, I actually jumped up from my couch and went, yeah, because it was pretty righteous. It was pretty great. Everyone's really strong in it. The one person who really stands out is the actor who plays Kano.
That is what everyone has said.
Because it's Josh Lawson. He's just such gloriously a bastard. He's just awful. And he's not awful it's not like he singles out a few. He's awful to everyone. Like he's garbage to every single person in the show, in the movie. And that dude is having the time of his life making this movie. It's pretty damn great. The weird thing, Louis Tan plays the main character named Cole Young. I haven't played the games properly in like 8 years. So I was like, who the fuck is Cole Young? I looked him up, not a character in the game. Cole Young was created for the movie. They're saying, well, no, he's actually a way, way hidden character you've never unlocked. Wink, wink. You know.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. But it's good. Chin Han plays.
I figured that was totally the thing that they were doing with him, is that he was your introductory character.
And it makes sense to do that, yeah.
And that way, the POV guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he kind of has the chosen one vibe the whole way, kind of thing.
Interesting.
Chin Han as Shang Tsung, he doesn't get a whole lot to do, but what he does do is pretty badass, only in that I'm used to him kind of only playing dudes in suits.
Usually.
Oh man, he is in a full-on like flowing robe. His hair looks great. He's like covered in jewels, and he doesn't do a lot of movement. He just does a lot of like, someone comes at him, he just kind of turns his head, like just dodges. You know, does a lot of like, your soul is mine. It was so good. It was so fun. It knows exactly what it's doing, all the way down to there's the moment when they know what you want. And what you want is an iconic fight between two Mortal Kombat characters that you've always seen, with a remix of the fucking Mortal Kombat scene. Like it's a more not techno-y version of dun, 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 dun. And you're like, yeah, it's the fight. It's the fight. Super sets up for a sequel. I can't imagine it doesn't get one.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it could not telegraph it any more than it does.
Well, and these days, no one makes a franchise film that is not intended to be a series.
Yeah, no. And they don't even, so you know, there's no mid-credit or end-credit scene. There's no need to. The last 5 minutes of the movie is the setup for Mortal Kombat 2. It just fucking is. It's a lot of fun. It's good. If you are a fan of if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you're gonna dig this movie.
I'm not a fan of the video game, but I still planned on watching this movie because I still love the first one.
I do too.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat Annihilation is pure garbage and should never be watched.
I don't really remember anything about that movie. I know I watched
because
it.
It's garbage.
It has. Is that the first one that Princess Kitana? No, Princess Kitana's in the first one, huh?
Yep, that was Talisa Soto.
Yeah, it's the one where they roll those weird balls through the earth.
Yes.
That Earth is connected by a series of tubes.
Yes. They do their own hollow Earth theory.
Yeah,
wow.
And what's his name is Shao Kahn, and I love this actor, but he's awful in this. He's the Romulan in Enterprise, the one who's running the projection ship with the Anar commanding it. That dude. He's been a Klingon, big chin, big brow. If you saw him, you'd recognize him.
Oh, are you talking about Brian something?
Yeah.
The fuck is his name? He was also the in the first season of the X-Files, he was the alien agent.
The alien bounty hunter dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Norm mentioned something. The woman who plays Sonya Blade is also really good, which is funny because in the original Mortal Kombat movie, Sonya Blade is my least favorite character, mainly because I don't think that actress who plays her is very good.
Mm.
None of those actors were great.
No. The guy who played Liu Kang was really good.
Robin Chow? Yeah. And then that turns into, of course, he never got work again.
Right.
Because, well, if it's not a martial arts movie, why would we hire an Asian male for a lead?
Fucking Jason Scott Lee went through that. I don't think he ever recovered. I think the closest he did is when he played that live action Jungle Book.
Yep. Thank you, Bex. Brian Thompson.
Brian Thompson. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it helps that a lot of the major fighters in this movie that do a lot of scenes, they were either stunt people before or were professional fighters before they did this movie, before they got into acting. So it's fun.
Is that true of Makad Brooks? Or did they just hire him because he's fucking huge?
He's ripped.
He's
easy on the eyes.
Yes,
he is.
He's got a cool part in the movie. You know,
he's Jax.
Yeah. You only see Jax in the trailer with his Jax arms. You don't see him what leads up to Jax arms.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't pretty.
No, that's in the Red Band trailer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. But he's good in it. And one thing I'll say is he's not, thankfully. Oh God, Jax was in Annihilation, wasn't he?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, Jax was in the original, but he was Sonya's partner in her opening sequence, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah. He doesn't have any lines that are unfortunately often given to black men in action movies. He has none of that. Like, he feels incredibly real.
Good.
No, it's solid. It's a lot of fun, like the whole way around. It's a fun movie. It ain't deep, but it's fun. You know, crack your favorite beverage, put on some corn, and watch some Mortal Kombat. I mean, that's kind of
I'm all up for a popcorn movie. That would be
bloody
nice.
bloody as fuck.
Good.
Yeah, no, it's
You're not dissuading me from ever watching this movie.
I was like, oh shit, they're gonna cut that person in half. Oh shit, they did. Yeah.
I mean, nothing's ever gonna be as bad as Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. So
I don't know.
Oh, you watched that?
I did. Like when it came out.
I never watched that one.
Neither did I.
Because the first Street Fighter is so bad. It still breaks my heart that was Raul Julia's last movie.
Yeah.
What's funny is it has a lot of like big actors, or at least like well-known actors, but it's just so bad.
Which one? The Chun-Li one or the
Chun-Li one?
Yeah, that was a Kristen Crook vehicle.
I know. Yeah, Kristen Kreuk plays Chun-Li.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Klein is in it, and his acting is super weird. The guy who plays Damien Dark.
Yes.
Is in it. He plays Bison. That's probably like the best performance in the whole movie, if memory serves.
What is his name? What the fuck is his name?
I'm looking it up now.
I feel like we went through this when we were watching
Neil McDonough.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Oh, that's right. I forgot though. But in Japan, I don't believe there is a Bison, so he's Vega in the Japanese release. Oh my God, it's completely different. So in the Japanese release, he's Vega. Taboo is Balrog, and Michael Clark Duncan is Bison. That actually sounds way better than him playing Balrog.
So they swap them out?
I guess so. That's how interchangeable the story must have been.
That's not
terrible.
Great.
It's terrible.
Man. Oh my God, that original Street Fighter is so bad.
It is.
So bad.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But the new Mortal Kombat
the first
is
one,
not.
Ming Na Wen, I thought she played Chun-Li. I remember thinking like at least there was a good Chun-Li in the first Street Fighter movie. I'm like, that's right.
That's because it was Ming Na Wen.
Yeah.
Ming-Na has been in a lot of stuff. Like she's never stopped working.
Yeah, I always forget because you see her now. I always forget that she's like what 52.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just heard an interview with her because she did something recently.
She's done a lot of things recently.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, there was one thing that is very, very recently, and that was like they kept mentioning. Is it Raya? No.
She was not in Raya.
No.
Okay.
All right, I'm not gonna remember it, but
I don't remember either. Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, she's in the new Gremlins show, Secret of the Mogwai.
Gremlins is getting a show?
Yeah, I think an animated one.
Speaking of franchises.
She is the voice of Fong Wing. I don't know who that's going to be, but
okay.
Oh, and she's in the Bad Batch as Fennec Shand.
As herself.
Because if you look on her IMDb, like the last 3 years, it just says Fennec Shand, Fennec Shand, Fennec Shand.
Yeah, because it's back to back.
Yeah.
It's Mandalorian to the Bad Batch to Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was that they were talking about.
Yeah, so it's all Fennec Shand.
Yeah. Anyway, Mortal Kombat's fun. Like, check it out. You've got, I think, 28 more days before it drops off HBO Max and is theatrical only. So, yeah, it's fun. You're going to dig it. Well, should we roll into some Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it. I don't know why we paused for so long there.
I don't know. I think we always wait for the other person to go first.
And we liked it. Good night. It was fun.
It was a very neatly wrapped package.
It was almost too neatly, to where there were parts where like, did you have to do that? But we can get into that in a minute. Yeah, it's the big showdown between the Flag Smashers, Falcon, and Bucky. And things happen.
Well, are we spoiling or are we not spoiling?
We're spoiling. We've
spoiled the entire series.
So. That's why I was like, well, you're being really vague right now. Okay, I think we talked about the fact that we were kind of expecting there to be sort of like an out. Like you have to take down the Flag Smashers, but we don't want to see them killed. So there's going to have to be some sort of a loophole. And sure enough, there was. Nobody killed. The good guys, neither Bucky nor Sam killed any of the Flag Smashers.
Correct.
But oh my God, what's her name?
Carly.
Yeah.
But Carly does get killed. You know, like the scene is set in such a way that it was probably inevitable. What's her name? Agent Carter. Sharon. Yeah. I'm bad at names today. Sharon Carter was presumably like too injured to physically intervene. So she has to, shoot to save Sam.
Right. And I got the impression that she wasn't letting Carly survive this no matter what.
Right. And we learn why.
Yeah. And I'm sure it sucks to get shot, but I'm sure in her mind, she's like, oh, this makes my story so much easier now. Mm-hmm. Only way I could save my friend was to pull the trigger.
Right. Yeah. You can sell that in a very cut and dry way.
Yeah.
But we learn at the end there that she had her own personal reasons for getting rid of Carly in that way. And I fucking knew it. I fucking knew she was the power broker.
Yeah. Like, I kind of did too, but I'm still not completely sold on it. Like, from a story. That's just me. I think her story felt kind of rushed to me, so I never fully bought the why she shifts so quickly to the power broker. Like, on paper, I get it, but I think I just would like to have seen, and the show wasn't going to allow, especially how they had to change filming. I would have liked to have seen more of her own internal process of how she got to become the power broker.
I can understand that desire, but there was only so many episodes and so much time to tell any story, and this wasn't her show.
Yeah, and there's also a good chance that they had intended that. Like, COVID really fucked up their filming a lot.
And essentially, they make it a reveal, but also at the same time a bit of a cliffhanger, I think. So there is the potential that they're planning to tell us more about that in the next movie she's in.
Oh yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah. I did find out, I wasn't sure if this is true, but it was true. Apparently, one of the major plot threads of the Flag Smashers wasn't just a relocation. They were stealing vaccines from a global pandemic, so that that governments were hoarding. And then COVID hit, and Marvel and Disney, the writers were like, we should maybe back away from that a little bit. That's hitting a little too hard right now. And then filming got altered also because of, lockdowns and so that
we're already going to call out systemic racism. Let's maybe not also call out bad vaccine behavior of wealthier nations.
Yeah, because when they were filming
that,
because when they were filming initially, it's like mid to late 2019. So it's not really, COVID-19 is still just a story that's happening in the Wuhan province.
Not even. If you're talking mid to late, that shit didn't start until December or January.
I mean, it probably started, but China's very good at letting what stories get out, So yeah, I can get how they're like, well, we need to pivot. We need a little story pivot here.
Oh my God, though, that would have been, well, especially the fact that it didn't, the show didn't air until this time, 2021, where vaccine distribution is a thing and vaccine diplomacy is in the news, and transferring AstraZeneca to other countries. I almost feel like it's a missed opportunity to like really say something that's only just barely being talked about in the news, at least to my experience.
Yeah, but I can get when they initially pulled the plug, there was no vaccine yet. People were just dying. So I could see how they were like, you know what, let's not do this story. It's like how, this is a weird thing to like go back on. It's like how that old show, The Lone Gunman, like they had to quickly alter their original opening, like the first 10 minutes of the movie, because it involves the main character having this dream that everything was fine. And then he saw a plane slam into the World Trade Center and the world was never the same again. They filmed that scene. They filmed that scene in like late July 2001. And they're like, oh, okay, let's pull some shit and let's shoot that first opening 10 minutes for something else.
That was a similar reason why they had to pull the movie Big Trouble. Because it also involved a bomb and a plane, and it was set to release in September.
That's right. And wasn't the start of the Xindi War like really close to that too?
Nope.
No.
The Xindi War is Star Trek Enterprise's response to what happened in 2001, because they were set to debut that week, as was Smallville, and both of their debuts got delayed.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And then it felt very weird because everyone's like, do I care about Star Trek right now? It's about peace and exploration and doing the right thing. And all I want to do is
scream into the void.
Get revenge was very much the attitude.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not going to share my feelings on that particular sentiment, but
which is interesting because to go back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's kind of the assumption you get, especially when they start bringing in Walker, that he doesn't do the full like heel to face turn, but he doesn't. You find out that Walker is not 100% revenge driven in his final moments on the show. He's still the more aggressive one. He's still kind of the might makes right. This is what I was born to do. But when it comes down to it, he's going to choose to save innocents and his even tangential, comrades than get the kill shot. And that's a minor bit of growth for him in the show.
I mean, it's a very relatable arc. He's essentially a lifelong soldier, a career military, and there's a lot of indoctrination that goes into that, and there's a lot of not strictly might makes right, but we are right, and the reasons we do things justify the things we do.
Right.
But like any human person and any man, or any, I'm going to take that back, any person in a very it's the military. It's an environment that sort of relies on the idea that revenge and force are the way to get the results you need. And so he for a while there is very, very justified in his aggression and aggressive actions that he takes to everybody else. Is like, you're making me do this. And then when he suffers consequences, but I only ever did what you wanted me to do. I am who you wanted me to be.
Right.
But deep down inside, he was always well-meaning. A lot of people join the military because they think they're doing something really good for their society, for their communities, and at the end of the day, that is reflected in the fact that he does stop what he's doing with violence to instead save lives.
Right. Yeah.
And you can really, really see the internal struggle that he had to go through with dealing with his anger and his loss versus, just wanting to be the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think he's now on a path that's going to take him further down the rabbit hole before he finally gets to figure out what it means to be a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure. Getting less than honorably discharged is not rock bottom.
No.
And he's still a super person now.
Yes.
Right.
But when he starts doing stuff as U.S. agent and then realizes he's working for Hydra.
Right.
That's when I'm afraid it's going to take getting someone else killed that he actually cares about. And then he'll go, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that based on who he is and who they've hired to play him and where they've put him in the MCU, being part of the Captain America and Bucky story, that redemption and healing is going to be part of his overreaching arc.
Yeah.
Character.
You said Bucky and redemption and healing, and that reminded me of his last little arc. That was really, really good. It was really powerful.
I think that they made the smart choice of pulling away and not letting Bucky leave and having him leave the scene and not focusing on the misery and the suffering of his friend, because that's a different story, and we still have to care for Bucky at the end of this.
Yeah.
It also would. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say it would have been too easy for them to cut to a scene where they are still friends or friends again after the confession.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of an easy out.
And I don't think that that's the direction they're going with that, because as Sam pointed out, all he does by doing that is prolong his own misery.
Right.
He needs to do what he needs to do. He needs to do the hard work and then move on, so that he can move on, become someone different.
And we've been watching Bucky go through these changes of like no longer being like an agent of evil to a hero for a couple years now. So it would be a disservice to all of that past writing and to the fans to just very quickly sort of symbolize his completion into being a good guy by wrapping up, the relationship with this older man whose son he killed.
Quite honestly, I think this show is the first time we've actually seen Bucky be a hero. He was not a hero in Civil War. He was not a hero in Avengers Infinity War or Endgame. He was a soldier in both of those.
He was a fighter, yeah.
Yes, but he was not a hero. He had not rejoined the public to be part of it. Like he was still hiding out in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And any motivation that he had towards helping the Avengers would have been Steve. And now that Steve's not there, it's his own motivation. He chose to pursue the relationship with Sam and go into business together, so to speak, trying to solve problems in the world.
Right. And I do think we get I think we actually do get a pretty good sense of closure from his list in the scene outside the restaurant when the character of Leia, when he's looking in and the man and the older man is, drinking sake, and he kind of has a smile. You can barely see it. Not Bucky, the older man, and the woman, Leia, I think was her character's name. She notices Bucky in the window and kind of smiles and nods at him. And I read into that like, he's going to be okay now. He's never going to want to ever see you again. But you did give him the closure that he has wanted for 30 years. He will now be able to actually mourn and move on.
Yep.
So he never going to probably forgive you, but he can move on now in that one simple nod. And he kind of nods back. It's the, okay. And then he just walks out. Like that's the best that Bucky can hope for in that situation.
And it's what his therapist, wanted for him, wanted him to do, is like to really real atonement, like doing the right thing is not easy for the person who does it. You can still lose the relationship by doing the right thing, but it's what the other person gets, not what you lose, that matters.
Yeah. But really, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say you are right. Leah is the waitress's name. Yori is the old man's name.
Okay.
It was bothering me. I couldn't remember.
But then I think really like the emotional landing of this is clearly like Sam's speech at the end.
It's a long one too.
Yeah.
Sam's speech is exactly what telegraphed in the second episode for me.
Oh, like, yeah.
As soon as it's like it was one thing not getting the loan at the bank, but when he brushes off the interaction with the cops in front of Isaiah Bradley's house, it's like, nope, we're getting a speech. This show ends with a speech from Sam as Captain America to the rest of us about how much bullshit this is and how much it is no longer going to stand.
Right.
And the speech that they wrote for him to give was incredible. Like I was expecting it. I don't think I was expecting it to be that good.
He very diplomatically rips them all a new one and like verbatim is like, do better. This is why this happened. You could have prevented it. You have to fucking care about other people besides your bottom line.
Right.
I really, really loved that element that he put in. Is like, why are you making decisions about the rest of the world and no one from the rest of the world besides you 12 assholes are in the room?
Yeah. I love that he immediately shuts that senator down. He's like, you don't call them terrorists. Like, don't call them that. He's like, what else would I call them? He's like, I don't know. Maybe if someone like brought armies to your border and kicked you out of your own country because they had to put other people, like, what would you do? you know,
What would they call you?
what would they call you? So yeah, I like that he just shuts that down like immediately.
I think they, like, I appreciate the importance of saying it's like you have the same power as, you know, an angry god, or like a mad god, or an angry teenager.
Right.
It's like he had no problem saying it's like this woman is dead because she believed in her cause that much. She wanted to stop what you were doing, that she laid down her life for that. That has to be examined. That has to be looked at, and that has to be honored.
Yeah.
I think the only omission in his entire speech is I would have, were I the screenwriter, I would have also put in, I would have let him say the words that all of the flag mashers were saying. It's like, listen to their motto: one people, one planet. That's all they want. That's all they have been trying to do, because that would have given validity to that organization to the level that they would have all gone, wait, he actually is one of us. He's all of us.
Right.
He is actually speaking for all of us. He's trying to get us all to do better. Okay.
Right.
Also, I think, again, like, diplomatically, he basically referred to those quote unquote leaders. He compared them to Thanos.
Yeah.
And not without actually saying the name.
Yeah.
He just like straight up drew a direct parallel, which I thought was like wonderfully insulting.
Yeah.
Well, that was that line where he says you have the same power as a mad god or an angry teenager.
Yeah.
The angry teenager being, Carly. It's like he's trying to point out, it's like they had power. You have the same power. Change the world.
Right. And in a weird way, they also kind of had the same goals, but Thanos was willing to kill half of everyone to do it.
Merrick and I have been talking about this, and Thanos's end goal is the argument surrounding the reason for eugenics taken to the furthest degree, which means it's still wrong.
Yeah.
If your end goal is, no, we need to depopulate, it's like, no, then you are wrong. That is ethically and morally evil.
Yeah.
Not only is it morally wrong, but it's logically wrong, because even now, like I see this a lot these days, and it's a lesson that I'm trying to cement in my own worldview, is like, the problem is not how many people we have in the world, it's the uneven distribution of wealth and prosperity and resources.
Yes.
So to say that by deleting 50% of any world population is going to make life better for the other 50 who are left is just statistically untrue. It's patently untrue, because as long as there are people who already have more, they will continue to take more and leave those with little or nothing that much worse off.
Yeah. But I think Sam's other speech, which for me wound up being the more powerful one, is the little speech he gives to Isaiah at the end, when he kind of thinks like, I know you're not totally happy that I did this, and I get where you're coming from. I get it. Here's my view. We built this country. We died for this country. So don't you tell me that I can't fight for it to make it better. And like, Isaiah gets it. He's, in a weird way, Isaiah is, it's hard for him to go back on his ways because of his past. And he also acknowledges that, in a weird way. When I saw that speech in a weird one, my brain went back to Star Trek 6 towards the end, when Spock says, have you and I grown so old that we can no longer help this equation? Basically, have we grown so old, so unmovable, that we're making it worse? Should we just get out of the way now? you know, and Isaiah's kind of there in a way. And Sam will be the bridge, hopefully, that rebuilds the better system so that Isaiah's grandson doesn't have to live in it. If that makes sense.
I think you're right, and I think both speeches, the one that he gave directly to Isaiah and the one that he gave to everyone, both of those speeches were to Isaiah because they were the response to the last question that Isaiah asked him.
Right. Yeah. And then for me, just it was Niagara Falls when they go to the Captain America exhibit, and Sam has the new section. Clearly he's had the new one put in. You know, no one will never forget you ever again.
Yep.
That was a really nice touch. Yeah.
And the unwritten part of that scene is also like, that means that the history is out there, the ugliness and everything. The pictures are going to show him saving people in Korea because he clearly did the same thing that Steve did in World War II, and he got thrown in jail for it. So not only are you going to see like, yay, heroics, but you're going to see like, also they did this to him in this exhibit. You know, there's no going back on that anymore.
Which makes Sam a very different and yet very, very much the same Captain America as Steve Rogers was. They are not, yes, they represent the flag and they are symbols of the United States, but both of those men are looking past those borders.
Yeah.
And everything that Sam did throughout the series, and then definitely in that final episode, cemented him as like, no, you are the Captain America that we actually need.
Right. The one we need now.
Because you're the one that's going to help us move forward.
Right.
Yeah. Like I squealed a little bit at that first appearance when he flies through the window after the shield comes in, and he flies in and he's in the costume. It's like, I 100% did not believe that they were going to do as close to a comic or close to an accurate representation of that comic or that costume from the comic that they did.
Yeah.
It just floored me. I'm like,
it's
I was
the same damn costume.
Yeah, I was expecting at least blue and white. I was not expecting the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
It's a really good representation of the comic version. That being said, I don't like it. The headpiece is weird.
It's definitely bulkier on him.
He's basically covered up to the eyebrows, and I don't really understand why he needs like half a cowl.
That's tied into the original design of Falcon.
Yeah.
He has a 3/4 cowl that has his head, the top of his head exposed.
Yeah. I just don't like aesthetically or like from a design standpoint, I don't get it.
It is one of those things. I'm on a different like thread with some comics folks. It is one of those things that doesn't translate quite as well from page to screen. Even if this is the most comic accurate, superhero accurate we've seen yet from, I mean, any DC or Marvel.
Right, which I appreciate. I always really appreciate when you like really recreate the look off the page to the screen. It's not that. It's just weird looking.
Another part of it is that even though Anthony Mackie is clearly in shape, they did beef up that suit a little bit, make him look a little bit bigger.
He's also broad-shouldered. He is,
but that they beef that suit is. I'm not saying it's a padded suit. That's not at all. But
oh no,
they did give it some bulk.
Those super suits are bulky. Period. They're all very like thick material. I don't even necessarily think that it's like to make him look more ripped, because it doesn't like, it's not like the Batman, contoured thing.
No, but it doesn't. It makes sense from the story standpoint of like, well, if you are, I'm going to guess that the person who made this is Shuri.
Yeah, probably.
My hypothesis is that ever since her return from the blip that she spent the past 6 months in the background, unbeknownst to the rest of the Avengers, remaking every single one of their uniforms and then infusing it with her own flair and lots of vibranium.
I do like that theory.
Ready to, it's like, man, I just went out and I got my costume thrashed. Oh, here. Why do you already have this ready? Have you met me?
Although I get the impression that only the wings are vibranium.
I'll bet. I don't think it has the same level of vibranium that Black Panther's suit has.
Right.
But I would imagine that it's still reinforced so that, like, short of an exploding warhead is not going to make it through that suit.
Vibranium or no, any superhero suit that comes out of Shuri's lab is going to be significantly better than anything we're making domestically.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because we're not a manufacturing country anymore. I'm sorry, that was like a really stupid thing to add.
No, that wasn't. That was a very poignant thing to add.
And then Norm said the only bad thing was the trash can lid that the U.S. agent was using. It's not a trash can lid.
It looked like a standard steel riveted.
Yeah, it's
steel.
It's it's his own reminder that he is a facsimile of what he wanted to be,
right. Which is like ties in very well with the beginning of the series when he's like, how am I supposed to live up to the original Captain America?
Right.
He did
you
not.
Can't. Yeah, you can't.
He most certainly did not.
I think it was important.
Even Sam knows he can't.
Yeah. And
that's why he's a different one. He's not trying. He's a different Captain America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a black man in the stars and stripes.
And yeah, another thing that I love, we'll keep rambling around. I loved the end title credits when it said, Sam and Bucky will be back basically in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And I was like, well played. Very well played.
Yep.
Also, I know they will, but I can't wait to get the score of this series. I really like the music to this show.
The first three, the soundtracks of the first 3 episodes are already up on Spotify.
Nice. Well, I'm hoping. Sorry,
Henry. I was going to say Henry Jackman, who did the soundtrack, was also wrote the soundtrack for Captain America: Winter Soldier, which is why thematically it is very similar.
Yeah, hopefully. So far, Mondo has worked with Marvel with almost every movie and series, and has put out like a gorgeous 1 or 2 album vinyl set. So, waiting on that one.
Did they do one for WandaVision?
No, but it's probably in the process. Both of those shows, I'm guessing, are going to have a pared down release because there's probably roughly 40 minutes of music per episode, and yeah, a lot of the themes get replayed, but
sure,
that's a lot. Just like I have the season 1 and 2 of Discovery on vinyl, and it's not the complete score. Like the composers pick their favorite tracks that still works thematically as an album, and they're like, all right, pick these ones. But if you go to Spotify, so much longer. Same with The Mandalorian. It's probably going to be 1 or 2 albums, but it's it's like it's 7 hours of music or some shit. So and always has gorgeous art. That's half the reason why I buy them damn Mondo records.
They always make me wish I was a record collecting person.
Doesn't Christian get records?
Yes and no. He has records. He loves record store dives, whatever cool people call that when you
that's it.
Pour through
it's just like going through a great back issues section. Just yeah.
But we don't really own a record player, and all of the music played in this house is on digital.
That's true. He did tell me one time that he loves his records, but he doesn't want to play them because they'll get hurt.
I guess I'm sure that's part of it too, but mostly he has all of the music in the world at his fingertips, and digital, he prefers digital quality music, the quality
Fair.
of digitized music, which is weird because he's an old man and you'd think he'd be all about the old thing.
Cable's thinking. Working.
I don't need to expand on my weird philosophies, so I'm not going to.
No, I want to hear it now.
What is it? Yeah, you can't just say that and let it go.
Not wanting the albums to get heard, that's denying the albums to be the thing that they are designed to be. That is
Right.
denying them their purpose. That is part of the problem that I have with my entire Lego collection is most of them are in storage. They don't get to be played with. They don't get to be buildings. They don't get to be what they are designed to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's why I'm like, at some point, I will be going through the majority of it, building what I want to build, and then donating it. Because I don't need tens of thousands of Legos. Like,
Yeah,
I just need what I want to be on display, and then I can donate the rest of them, and then children can actually use them for what they are intended for, which is to be played with.
mhm.
Yeah.
I prefer the idea of like having something because I'm going to use it.
Mm.
And like not to say that he's like hoarding a bunch of records that don't get touched. I think there's maybe like a dozen that are owned in our home.
Right.
Like particularly specific ones that he really wanted to have. But except for books, I like to own physical copies of books, and that's foolish because in the last couple of years I've converted to digital, and like, okay, well now eventually I'm going to have more digital books than physical books. And if I decide I want to reread a book off that I own, I'll probably just check it out from the library on digital.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, should I still have the book if I'm not going to physically read my paperback?
I find books as decoration to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah,
like if I had
and
a
they
wall
smell
of
good.
books,
Mhm.
it is a look that I enjoy.
Me too.
But to Cable's point, I haven't bought a Lego set since that haunted house because I have nowhere to put them and I want to display them.
Yep.
I want that space shuttle so bad and I have nowhere I can put it, so I don't get it. But I want it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's so gorgeous.
We probably like collectively know a lot of people who are into Lego, and it probably wouldn't be difficult to set up some sort of a Lego set exchange system. So you can build the Lego set, take it back apart, pass it on, inherit a different one, repeat.
Oh God.
I've been really obsessed with my neighborhood buy nothing group lately, and so I'm just.
I don't know. Cable, do you think there'd be a lot?
I do it with
of
jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah, Cable. Do you think there'd be a lot of Lego people that would even be interested in that? I feel like they are very like, well, no, I built it. Now I don't want to share it.
I think the people that would be interested in doing that would be children. And those are the people that I want to give Legos to in the first place. I don't care about giving them to adults because they can buy their own and fuck them.
I'll allow it.
And we do. The older we get, the more mentality that we have of it's mine. I paid for it. I must have it. I have to control it. I must hoard it. And the older I get and the more anti-capitalist I get, the harder it is for me to go, why do I have fucking stuff? So I don't know.
Full disclosure, I still play with my Ghostbusters Firehouse and Haunted House. They often combat each other.
I play with all of my superheroes. It's like I have one shelf that is New York. I have another shelf that is Gotham City. I have a space one going on. Like, yeah.
Ooh, you could do like
have like the most precious image of you guys like fighting your little Lego piece, like figures.
Oh, when no one's around, I pretty much just recreate my own episodes of the real Ghostbusters because like I have like the Ghost Pirate and I have the Witch. I have all these different ghosts from these sets. And like, yeah, there have been times where I've been like, dun, 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 like I send the Ghostbusters into the haunted house. Oh no, the elevator fell on them. And then the Ghost Pirate's like, I just beat the Ghostbusters. I mean, no, I don't do that. That's childish. I totally do that. It's fun. I play the Ghostbusters theme in the background, or I put on the Haunted Mansion ride through. If I had a decent camera, I would totally do stop motion of the Ghostbusters versus the haunted house.
You don't even need a decent camera to do that. You just use your phone. Do it.
Maybe one day I'll just take a week off and all I'll do are little stop motion Lego movies with my Ghostbusters and my haunted house.
It'd be fun.
That means I need the mystery machine because I can be like, oh look, guest starring the Scooby Gang.
I mean, you can borrow it, and I have it.
That's true. That'd be fun.
Yep, I have it, and all the. I have all the Scooby Legos because we played it.
Oh my god, that was so fun.
It was.
So
I still tell when I sell that game to people, I still tell them that the best way to play is to do the voices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't lose as long as one of you is playing Scooby.
So per our conversation about like owning physical versus digital copies of stuff, Hisham reminds us that with digital copies, you don't technically own it. You're just licensing it. And depending on the platform practices, it could be taken away, much like iTunes has done to people's music, and much to a lot of people's fury. And I'm like, I hate being reminded of that because it's shitty. I don't appreciate that. I'm like, I gave you my real money, my in a digital way for a digital product, and if I paid you for it, I should be allowed to keep it.
Yeah,
but that's probably the reason I put I still use Amazon for like family to know like what kind of gifts I might want, and it's mostly books, and I'll put in the paperback version of whatever book I want. But by the time I actually get around to reading it, because I have so many books, I'll probably just borrow the digital version from the library.
Yeah.
So I've got these like weirdly pristine books in my collection. But if that book ever goes away from a digital platform, I technically do still have it. And I only paid for it the once. Well, someone only paid for it the once.
Yeah. That's me with movies. That is why I still
I just broke cable.
That is why I still buy physical copies of movies, because I have purchased digital copies and have them vanish from the platform I purchased them on because, Warner Brothers or Paramount decided that they didn't want it streaming anymore and they yank it.
So I'm sorry. I have to be frank about the fact that I'm well aware that my depression brain has been doing a downswing for probably about the past week and a half, which has altered my perception and how I evaluate things and how I respond to them. And so part of a lot of this comes from that. It's the fact that all of this is still ephemeral. We don't own any of this. None of this is real. Like the most that we have are the feelings, emotions, and memories that any of these things that we interact with evoke. And that's what's real to us. Everything else is not.
That is a very, very valid argument. It's not really a matter of whether or not I physically have my own copy of something.
Sure.
It's what it made me feel.
But I also want to be very clear about the fact that comes from a very nihilistic versions of my psyche and not necessarily how I truly believe things to be all the time. So.
Right. Because like for me, there are films that to get that feeling back, I will watch over and over again because they do things for me. On a digital copy, a company can literally take it away and decide when I get to have that experience again. Mm-hmm. They cannot do that with a physical copy. And I'm sure one day they're going to try to figure out fucking how. But for now, they can't.
It's not one day. It's now. They're working on it now.
Sure. And then they're going to make it
Because-
work one day.
Because the more that they take away the physical and more reliant we are on the digital, then
Oh,
that,
Warner Media has all but admitted that in 10 years, they want to remove all physical media of their content.
sure, of course.
They're all going to want to do that.
Like that's the direction that's what gives us fucking NFTs.
Yeah, that's so.
Which I still struggle to understand. I kind of get it. I just still don't see why there is value in that.
I think you have to understand why people think there is value in cryptocurrency.
Right. Which I only loosely accept to begin with. So
I only loosely accept that there's any value in physical currency, so I sure as hell don't see any value in cryptocurrency.
that's kind of ironic because I'm a little bit anti-physical cash, mostly
Mhm.
because I used to be a banker and it's disgusting, not from any like philosophical standpoint. And so I essentially only barter with digital money, and that's technically that's the same idea. The only thing is like, Bitcoin is not backed by the Federal Reserve,
Right.
and dollars are.
And to be quite honest, global EMP makes all of this completely useless. You can't eat gold.
Oh, I mean, if there's a global EMP, I have way bigger problems than how much money I used to have in my bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Careful. These are how preppers are built.
I know. I'm aware.
Guns still work if there's a global EMP. Sorry, I grew up in a town where I was literally told to stockhold or to store and stockpile dried beans, dried rice, and of all things, 22 ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can kill almost anything small with a 22. And like, it's hard to make, if you don't have the right environment, it's hard to make like a deer last all winter. But you can plug a bunch of rabbits and dry it, and chipmunks and squirrels, and it's cheap. And yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, I was
trust me,
literally
if
taught that 22 ammo could be currency if the shit went south.
any ammo is currency if shit goes south.
Yeah.
If I had ever been like, if my conservative time in my life had ever coincided with the time in my life where I had money to spare, I would absolutely be a prepper. I guarantee it.
That's fair.
And I think the important philosophy to keep in mind is the counter to that is that the other way to survive is community.
Which is why I have you guys.
Depending on other people and allowing them to depend on you to work together, that eliminates the need for ammunition. It's optimistic. It is not pragmatic, but that's the lesson that I took away from Falcon and Winter Soldier is we need to believe in hope, or we need to have hope that we can be better and we can do better. And I think we can.
It very much was the message. And honestly, that's like the global message, but also they have it on that smaller scale when you see Sam just start calling up everybody that his parents ever did something good for. And next thing you know, they've like basically solved his sister's problems. Like, I mean, not all of the problems, and I'm sure money is still going to be an issue, but that she was able to kind of overcome a particularly large hurdle that her family was experiencing by just reaching out to the community that her family had always been there for. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help in return when you need it.
Agreed. Aaron, that was awful.
I had to end it. We're getting close to the end. I had to get like a little joke in there. I randomly saw this pop up on a feed.
Oh, I saw that this morning. It's the worst.
Someone live-felled the Falcon.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to share some quick links real quick on, this will be in the chat.
Oh, that's right. Some Lego stuff, right?
Yep. Which is related to our Lego conversation and to our Marvel conversation.
Put that in the chat for everyone else to see what we're all groaning about.
Yeah.
I just did.
Geez. Sorry, I'm also burying it with Lego links in the
Oh.
other chat.
Norm also said, don't forget the flip side where U2 just forced everyone to have, or Apple forced everyone to have a U2 album on their system.
I remember that. That was awful.
Yeah.
I just remembered that the other day. I inherited an old iPad and I logged into my iTunes account for the first time in a decade. Literally, like there's like 4 podcasts on there, including Fun Employment Radio. It was before I even knew about Geek in the City, and
the dark times.
I know, right? This is a sad life. And yeah, I'm like, oh, there's my iTunes music. These are the bits of music that I ever bought, like ever, when I had iTunes, which was a very small window of my life. And there it fucking is, the U2 album.
Yep. So the links that I put in the YouTube chat is for one of the first one is for the next round of minifigs.
I'm not seeing the link.
It's not in our chat. It's in the YouTube chat.
YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
YouTube.
Do you have it set on top chat?
Yeah.
Or live chat?
Oh, there's a difference.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing. Okay,
Yes.
now I'm in live chat. And
live chat keeps everything.
It looks the same.
I still don't have it.
Weird.
Top chat. Yeah,
That's
I've
because
toggled between top chat and live chat, and I don't see any posts from you, Cable.
That's weird. Well, put them in ours too. We can, so if they're seeing it, we can see it too, if you don't mind.
I think not everything that I posted, but those things are gone.
Weird.
I'll bet YouTube removed them. Anyway.
We're like, oh, it's an advertisement.
Yeah, which is odd because we have Dickie's beer reviews leaving stupid messages in there.
Is that what that is?
Yep.
I just saw the one that said cheers, and I was like, cheers.
No, but did you see the username? Dickie's beer review.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's a YouTube username.
I'm assuming.
Who knows?
I put it in.
Anyway, Legos.
Yeah, I put it in our chat now. So the first one is that they've been talking about another round of collectible minifigures that will be all Marvel.
Beauty. In the
Which
first
is
10
great.
years.
Yep. Instead of doing the list that's out is all 100% rumor. So there's been nothing confirmed yet, but the rumor is it's going to be all based on the Disney Plus shows, which means
cool.
WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If.
Right.
So we're going to get, so the rumors are Scarlet Witch, the white version of Vision, Monica Rambeau, Sam Wilson as Captain America, Bucky Barnes, then Loki, and Loki will come with Throg.
What's a Throg?
Throg is Frog Thor.
Frog Thor. Oh my god.
Yes. Lady Loki.
Oh, cool.
Captain Britain from What If, which will be Peggy Carter as Captain America. Zombie Captain America. A version of Star-Lord that was T'Challa.
Which I think is the What If one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything from Peggy Carter down is all What If.
Oh, okay.
It's Spider-Man as Steve Rogers and the Mad Titan Thanos as Gamora. That's cool. Gamora as Thanos.
Interesting.
Yep. So
awesome.
None of that's confirmed yet, so we'll see. The ones that are confirmed are the 2 sets that they have also released for Shang-Chi, one of which is called the Escape from the Ten Rings, it's a dumb car set. It's got a car and 2 motorbikes. The important thing is it has 4 minifigs, which include Wenwu, who is Tony Leung, and Shang-Chi and Aquafina.
Nice.
So we get Aquafina, the minifig.
I'm with Bex. Come out with the Agatha minifig.
I know.
That who knows? Like again, that is an entirely rumored list, so I can't. Don't put any stock in it.
I just love Agatha,
I do too.
especially in like in the finale situation. Like that is a look and a half, and I am
That
here
look is
for
so
it.
good.
But the other Shang-Chi set is called Battle at the Ancient Village, which has Shang-Chi, Wenwu, another character, and then Death Dealer, which is going to be great because I like the look of that character. But it also has a buildable dragon, which means there's dragons in Shang-Chi, which means the potential for Shang-Chi
Don't say it.
to
Don't get
introduce
my hopes up.
Fin Fang Foom
Yes.
into the MCU.
He's in MODOK.
Right there. It's right there. So I don't think we're gonna. If they do, I don't think he's going to be the purple choni wearing Fin Fang Foom that readers are fond of. But
Unless my dragon is wearing purple underwear, he doesn't count.
I will take all other. I'll take a giant green dragon version of Fin Fang Foom. That'll be great.
I know he's in MODOK because there's a scene in the trailer with MODOK riding Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah, and I don't know how in canon MODOK is good.
No, it's not.
But
I still can't wait, but it's not.
For anyone in the chat, if you can't see my links, go to the Brick Fan. I think it's thebrickfan.com. Yep, thebrickfan.com, and you can check these out. It's one of the fan sites I go to.
That first Shang-Chi set comes with a weapon stand. I'm a sucker for anything that has a weapon stand.
Mm-hmm.
Just a weird thing.
That makes sense.
Man.
That's a cool looking dragon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those sets. Like, it's going to be great. Like, I love adding more Marvel stuff to my Lego collection. So,
also, thinking of Simu, like as cool as it is to play the character, how's it got to feel like fucking walk into Target and see yourself on a Lego box?
Right.
Like that's gotta be the feeling. You're like, God damn. I've made it.
He's going nuts. He's been going nuts all week about like, so here are my action figures.
Yeah.
Here's my face on a Lego box.
Yeah. And I think he's I don't know that he's seen the Legos yet, but he probably has. Like I would imagine that he has all of the things, but he definitely has the action figures.
Appa is still disappointed in him.
Of course. I want a Carson Teva action minifig.
Also, oh my God, I hope Simu was able to invite the entire cast of Kim's Convenience to the Shang-Chi premiere.
That'd be great.
I mean, other than it just be cool,
I'm still going to be a little pissed if they're not in the movie.
All of them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's some serious fourth wall breaking.
That takes some doing. It'd be great, though.
They don't have to be all in the ssame scene. They can I would just pepper them throughout the movie.
Pepper the convenience. Peppered convenience. I'm going to make a snack and it's going to be peppered and I'm going to call it peppered convenience.
Or if like some character
during
a fight, after a fight scene, some character says, okay, see you, and have Shang-Chi go like, nah. And Aquaman's going, what's that? Nothing. That might be a little too meta also. But.
While we've been having this conversation, I've had a little pang of regret, you guys. I've been learning about these particular Marvel characters, the ones that are currently part of the MCU for the last 10, 15 years. Yeah. I've known very little about any of them going into their cinematic releases, and now I'm like seen them all multiple times. I've read some of the corresponding comics to like learn these origin stories and their histories, and now we're moving into another phase, and it's going to be a whole new batch of characters I've never even heard of.
You and most of the people who know these characters from the MCU.
Right. But
Yeah,
not
and-
most people are currently doing a pop culture podcast where we're
Well-
going to
well,
talk about it.
I
To be
don't know that
fair-
that's true either.
To be fair.
Yeah. There are a lot of comic fans that are aware of Shang-Chi that probably didn't read a lot of Shang-Chi.
Because of crossovers and stuff.
Yeah, he's a cool character, but he's not like, and this is like no disrespect to the character, but he's easily a C-list Marvel character.
Mhm.
And kind of always has been. It's not a dig on him. It's just
Like he doesn't get big name writers, hasn't had like a lot of big releases or
no,
arcs and
and
stuff.
his history's kind of weird. It all kind of sprung out of the fact that I think Marvel owned Fu Manchu.
Yeah, we talked about
They
this last
owned
week.
the rights.
Yeah,
to
the rights,
Manchu, but
and-
then they lost them.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, DC has their version too. It's God, what's his name?
Richard Dragon,
Yeah.
the white guy.
Don't know anything about that guy either.
Wait, Richard Dragon's is he?
Richard Dragon's a redhead.
I might be thinking of somebody else then.
Who might be. Richard Dragon is a white dude.
I might be thinking of somebody else then.
Yeah, he's the David Carradine to Marvel's Shang-Chi. Sorry.
So anyway, there are a lot of Marvel characters we're going to start seeing, I think, in the MCU that, you know, did not ever have top billing in the comics.
Sure.
You know, because they opened, well, you know, they didn't open with A-listers. They fucking opened with Iron Man. And people forget that when Iron Man came out, he was a mid-range B-list character. Yeah, he was always an Avenger, but the time
I'd never heard of him.
the time Iron Man came out, what do you think, Cable? Like the most well-known characters back then was Wolverine and Deadpool. You know, Captain America was always popular. Iron Man was not a top-tier A-lister for Marvel Comics.
Spider-Man has been an A-lister
Spider-Man, yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wolverine. Hell, even the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And they can't keep a book to save their life.
Right. Well, because someone's always trying to reimagine the Fantastic Four. It's like, stop doing that.
They're just they're just the 50s nuclear family. And
but
I don't know.
You know,
nuclear family.
Give them wacky adventures with like pseudo space magic and science. And what's funny is that I don't even know if it's still in print. I might have gotten canceled, but for a while DC had the Terrifics, which was clearly inspired by Fantastic Four. It was so much better. The Terrifics was so fun.
Do you know the backstory on that?
The one I'd heard was at Lemire.
That was Jeff Lemire.
And he pitched FF and they said no.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he took the same idea to DC and said, yeah, 100% do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it feels like the Fantastic Four, because it is the Fantastic Four.
It's great. And for me personally, I like the characters in the Terrifics more than FF. You know, it's just so fucking weird. Anyway.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Denise, I'm still a newcomer to Shang-Chi's story. And I know about him because of more high profile writers that have been writing him into books. Like Greg Pak is one of the main reasons why I've been so interested in Shang-Chi. And now they're passing him off to Jin Yuan Wang. So
right. It seemed to me like you guys definitely know who these characters are. Like, you can reference Shang-Chi and MODOK and dragons in purple underwear, and I'm like, what?
I have never.
But that's okay. I'm not upset anymore because
right.
Bex has so kindly reminded me that, like, for some people, my perspective is relatable. So, you know, I shouldn't necessarily feel bad because I don't already know everything about all of the Marvel characters.
Look, when it comes to weird ass characters, you can always count on me knowing them. No one gives a shit about Fing Fang Foom.
For a fact, you have definitely been the biggest source of obscure comic book shit I've ever known.
People are like, "What's one of your dream DC books?" And they think like Justice League or Batman. I'm like, the Sea Devils. But wait, in space, on Europa. They're brought out there by the Blackhawks.
No. I thought your dream project at DC was Detective Chimp.
Well, they're never going to give me that. The Sea Devils are more likely
Okay.
than my ultimate team book, which is basically be a version of the Shadow Pact, which that book never lasts more than 5 issues. And yes, it would involve Detective Chimp. And
You
Clarion
have
the
to
Witch
have
Boy.
multiple dreams. The dream that you most truly deeply want in your heart of hearts, and then the dream that is not quite as much wanted in your heart of hearts, but seems more feasible.
I mean, honestly, neither of them are that feasible.
Aw, I'm trying to, like,
DC's
throw
never
you a
going to
bone here,
green light
dude.
the Sea Devils. Until I found out one day, it was like years ago, that's one of Rucka's things he'd want to pitch one day. I'm like, God damn it. They're going to pick his before mine, if that happens. The weird thing in my brain.
The only other person that I would think that would want to be writing a Sea Devils book is Jeff Parker.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And you're all a bunch of weirdos.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you are a very specific subset of weirdos for what characters you like at both DC and Marvel.
Yeah. I think I fell in love with Detective Chimp. It was a Detective Comics issue where you find out that there's this like there's this online BBS of the world's greatest detectives, and they all anonymously sign in and try to solve this crime. And in this issue, you find out that Edward Niblet, the Riddler's on there too.
Mm-hmm.
And both Batman and Detective Chimp know that it's the Riddler, and they literally feed him false clues just to fuck with him.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's a panel where Detective Chimp is privately messaging Batman. He's like, "Hey Bruce, you think we're going too far?" There's like 3 dots. But how did you know my name? And he's like, I'm the world's greatest detective. He's like, no, I am. Well, clearly not. And then anything he adds, also, I wasn't sure, but thanks for just confirming it. Sucker. Man, it's a chimp who smokes a pipe or smokes a cigar and dresses up like Sherlock Holmes.
I think that Batman being Bruce Wayne is one of the best worst kept secrets in all of the DC universe.
Yeah.
I mean,
my other more mainstream idea is I want to do a revamp of the Outsiders that are bankrolled by Talia al Ghul and led by Lady Shiva. And their base is literally like under a secret base under Congress where they just keep an eye on everyone. They're literally the team of fuck around and find out.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I like that. That's allowed.
Thank you. Yeah, then Marvel, it's White Tiger. They ain't ever going to give me White Tiger. They only revamped White Tiger so they can be killed off 5 issues later for somebody else's character.
Aww.
Oh, was that out loud?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's got like 3 Mexican heroes, and they do their best to kill off the strongest one every chance they get. Anyway.
Speaking of, I am hoping for Captain America 4 that we see the return of the Falcon as Joaquin Torres.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm.
That will be great. They set it up.
Sweet. They did.
Cool.
All right. Should we wrap up the show?
I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I'm hungry.
Definitely time.
Yes. Well, we'll be back next week. Maybe this time I should actually reach out to Greg and Ida about the return of building character.
That would be great.
Seems like a good idea.
This week kind of went south with me getting my shot on Monday.
That makes sense.
But look at you today.
It was so weird.
You're alive.
It was 36 hours of like utter muscle and joint pain and the worst headache ever. And then like 3 hours ago, I was like, wait, I'm not hurting anywhere now. But, okay, I guess it's done.
Nice.
So, that's nice.
It hits everybody differently.
Yeah.
I was inconvenienced for about 8 hours. I'm sorry.
I think I was arguably more miserable after the first one because that felt like a full-on flu. So it was all the muscle pain, but also couldn't breathe, fever.
Mm.
I can say the second shot for me was the worst in comparison to the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one didn't bother me at all. So being physically inconvenienced for 8 hours was, yeah.
Well,
sorry.
I could barely stand, jerks.
I know. I remember I sent you that message like, well, just stay in bed. And you're like, bitch, I haven't gotten out of bed.
Like that, not like bitch, but like
I know.
say it right.
Bitch, I barely got out of bed.
Otherwise, people are gonna think I'm mean to you.
I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Peter Rita.
And I'm Cable Hashtani.
Bitch, we'll talk to everybody next week.
Bye.
Is that better?